So I thought a long time about how to introduce this device to my audience, you guys. And I felt that it was just best to do it the way that it's normally done. So without further ado, when you think flagship, do you automatically say Google? Well, this year, I think you will. Hey everybody, it's Average Tech Guy, and this is the Google Pixel 6 Pro. I think it'll probably make you change your mind about Google flagships. So let's talk about it. So every year we get slapped in the face with these brand new devices, and this year is no exception. Every big company has put out at least 2 to 3 versions of cell phones this year. So this is Google's shot at the Pro version of a cell phone. Now, Pro, what does that name mean? Ultra, Max, Pro. This one is the latter. This is Google's first Pro phone. So what are the Pro features? Well, first off, Google has brought us the 120 hertz refresh rate on this model. This thing sports a 6.7-inch display that shows in the resolution of 1440 by 3120. That's 512 for PPI on this device. It has a 50 megapixel camera on the back. It has 12 gigs of RAM. It has 5,000 milliamp hours on that battery. And yes, the battery life is insane. It lasts all day. There are no issues with that battery life. It comes in 3 separate configurations, either 128 gigs, 256 gigs, or 512 gigs for those people who love to store 4K videos on their device. And then the screen is made out of a Gorilla Glass, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus. It's on the front as well as on the back. And speaking of the back, we got this camera here. This camera has a multifocal triple array. It sports a 50 megapixel, a 48 megapixel, as well as a 12 megapixel ultra wide. It has dual LED flash, pixel shift, auto HDR, and it has a panorama mode built right into it. It shoots video in 4K, 30 frames per second, as well as 60 frames per second. And it also shoots in 1080p at 30, 60, 120, and 240 frames per second. So it's probably one of the most versatile cameras or flagship cameras that we have out there right now. On this model, you still get no headphone jack, but you do have USB Type-C fast charging and stereo speakers built right into it. Now, a lot of people had questions about this device because back is glass, top is more of a plasticky type material. So it's a little off from the back glass right here. The coloring is just a little off, but I'm loving the two-tone feel of this device. You do get a hole punch camera right up at the top, 11 megapixels, and it has auto HDR, panorama mode, 4K 30 frames per second, and 1080p at 30 as well as 60 frames per second. Now, one of the best things about this is the functionality, because using this thing is really fun, it is functional, and it supports a lot of applications as well as games that will work in that 120 hertz refresh rate. Now, you don't have to worry about sound being muffled because we already talked about stereo speakers, but you also have an optical fingerprint scanner right up under that screen. Now, that is probably one of the issues that I have had with this, because from time to time, you may have to press that a few times for it to work. And if I had an issue, that is probably the only one. The backgrounds and wallpapers are really playful, and your widgets actually will change according to what your wallpaper is. That's one of the nicer features. I kind of like that. You don't have to go in and change your color scheme on your own. The phone does it itself. This phone has 30 watts fast charging, which is going to get you 50% in about 30 minutes. Fast wireless charging at 23 watts, and it has reverse wireless charging. And you really can't beat USB Type-C right about now. The best thing they ever did for a phone or a tablet or a computer or anything. It comes in cloudy white, sort of sunny, and stormy black. Now, what is the best part about a phone? Other than you can talk on it and communicate with people thousands of miles away. That's probably the best part. But the ability to customize it and have functionality, that's probably one of the best parts about having a cell phone like this. This thing is super smart, it's super intelligent. I could go on and on about the settings and all those things, but I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about my day-to-day usage. I'm a power user. This thing has a 5,000 milliamp hour battery built right into it. It lasts all day. I went one full day without charging, and at the end of the day, I still had 16, 17, 20%, I think, and it lasted a whole day of shooting video, taking photo, watching video, consuming media, doing actual production. Like I'm taking notes on here, I'm answering emails and things of that nature. I did all that in a day, no issue with the battery. You can pick up one of these Google Pixel 6 Pros starting out at about $899, and it will go up depending on your memory configuration. Now, the camera. I know a lot of people have issues with that camera notch on the back, but I'm here to tell you there's no problem with holding it. There's no problem with putting it in your pocket. This is a premium feeling device, glass on back, glass on front, and a full aluminum construct around the side. Feels good to hold in your hand, and you would think that this thing is slippery, but it's not. This is slippery. This is the actual case that Google was nice enough to send over. And this case gets a little slick in your hand from time to time. So just keep that in mind. If you're gonna go out and pick up one of Google's transparent cases, it's gonna be just a little slick. Other than that, this is probably one of the better flagships of this year. All right, so now I'm no camera buff by any means, but one of the biggest things about a Google Pixel device is that camera. And this year, this is what you got. You got the meme-filled camera on the back of this device, and I thought the notch was going to be a lot bigger. It's not. The notch is no issue. It doesn't impede with you holding the phone. It doesn't feel any different in your pocket. That notch is just there. So don't worry about it. So pretty much anything that you want to shoot, you're going to be able to get really good quality out of it, whether you're shooting on the front or on the back. I'll show you a few videos that I've put together and a few photos that I've taken with this device, and all things are really good. And I really, and I'm a Samsung person, but this phone, this camera, it rivals Samsung just because Samsung, you know, Samsung devices, they actually will like super saturate your photos. Well, these keep the photos nice and like basically on par with what your eyes are seeing, and they don't like oversaturate. So this is gonna give Samsung camera array a run for its money. So one of my favorite parts about this actual device right here is the camera itself. Now, the ability to be able to magically erase what's in the picture directly from here with no software needed, nothing actually downloaded into here. It's a feature that comes put into this phone. And for amateurs like myself, as far as photoshopping things, it's gonna be pretty good because you can basically just take out whatever is in the way and it leaves behind a pretty stable photo. Not a whole lot of blurring or anything of that nature, but only time will tell. We'll have to test this feature out just a little bit more to see how it actually works. I really like the pictures, I like the video, and one of the best things about this is this button right here, the stabilization. So you got different types of stabilization, from standard to lock to active to cinematic pan. When I tell you, as you're walking and you're videoing, if that stabilization is on, you are not having any issues with jitteriness, with like it jumping around. It works perfectly and seamlessly, as you can see in the video that I'm showing right now. So there are no issues with the camera. I like it a lot, and it's probably gonna be one of the biggest cameras of this year. So why is this the phone for you? Or is this the phone for you? Price point, you're going to start out at about $8.99 for one of these. Now that's a good price considering that you're going to pay $1,000 plus for some of the bigger devices. But why would this phone be for you? Now, if you are just looking for something to use, you may want to go with the smaller model, the Pixel 6, but this one is the Pro. The Pro doesn't really mean a lot when it comes to phones. People throw those names around, Pro and Ultra and Max and things like that. Size, features, the average consumer, what do they want to know? They want to know, is my screen going to look good? Is this thing going to make good calls? Is it going to take decent pictures? And that's pretty much it. If you're like my parents, is it going to send text messages? Is it going to make phone calls? Well, it's going to do that and then some more. So if you're looking for a really good flagship device that's not going to break your bank, and it doesn't have the highest of everything, but it's that model that is going to get you everything you need at a price that you want. It's playfully sophisticated. It's a fun phone to use. It's one of those things where when you take this out, people are gonna just want to know what that is. What kind of phone is that? I haven't seen that. And this has been one of the biggest pushed phones by Google in a long time. So go by and check it out. There are going to be tons of reviews out there, and hopefully these will help you to make up your mind. Now, is the screen good? Yes. It sports that standard 120 hertz refresh rate that we need nowadays. Is the battery life good? Yes. Is it functional? Yes. Is the camera good? Definitely. So it checks all the boxes that I need. With the exception of one issue that I did find is that fingerprint scanner. That is the bane of my existence with this phone. And like I said, it's not a deal breaker. But since we know that pre-orders are already sold out, this phone is probably going to be the most hyped phone of this year. I'm Average Tech Guy, and hopefully this has been able to help someone out. Until next time, please continue to give me that big thumbs up and please subscribe. Average Tech Guy out. Peace.